So last Sunday, in our second message in our Church Matters series that we're doing all month long in October for Missions Month, we read another passage from Paul where he uses this language of reconciliation when he's talking about the good news of Jesus. And this whole idea of reconciliation is that there's things that have been torn apart that Jesus is putting back together. He says that God was pleased to have all of his fullness dwell in Jesus and through him to reconcile all things to himself. All things. And this picture that we get in the Bible is almost like a fabric tearing, right? Like you would tear a hole in your jeans and you could perhaps stitch them up, except the picture the Bible paints is of the fabric of the entire created order was ripped apart by sin. And Jesus' mission is to come and to put all of that back together again. And really that can be kind of daunting to us. I know it's intimidating to me and it's heartbreaking to me when I can look around the world in my immediate context, and the farther afield that I look, I just see more and more pain and more brokenness, more and more relationships that are ripped apart, more and more families that are breaking apart. Everywhere around the world it seems like there's just one refugee crisis after another. We see economic systems ripping apart and political systems that seem to do more damage than good. And people's bodies are broken and rebelling against themselves. People struggling with mental illness and their own chemical makeup and their own minds are working against them. And it can feel overwhelming. And oftentimes it's easy to feel intimidated and overwhelmed. Like what can I do as little old me? Well, let me just encourage you with this idea, this image of like fabric being torn and being stitched back together. That remember that first, Jesus is the one who's reconciling all things to God and himself. And that maybe you and I, though, as part of the church who's meant to partner with Jesus in his mission, what if I'm just responsible today for one little stitch? And what if today you're responsible to just do one little stitch, and another person makes a stitch and another person makes a stitch? Maybe what we end up with at the end of the day is real reconciliation and real healing. So today, as you go throughout your day, maybe just look for that one place where you can make one small reconciliatory stitch and trust Jesus with all the rest of it. And by doing so, just know that you really are joining with God in the renewal of all things. So be blessed as you go and make some reconciliation stitches. And check back in next week for another episode of